nation of our great country in Louisiana. And we just ask your blessings on our work as a Public Service Commission here today. Thank you for all those who are in attendance. Thank you for my brothers here on the commission. We just ask your blessings again in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, Commissioners come out and do the pledge, please.
In the month of Veterans Day, please honor the flag with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. All be seated. We'll start out with a resolution. Any announcements for
Commissioner Lambert.
Mr. Lambert? Louis Lambert. I'll tell you what, Catherine, you have a copy of that?
I've got it, and I'll read it out,
Yeah.
because I put it together. I think she wants to prefer me to read it.
All right.
I know, hey, guys, we've started. Guys.
Time out up there. There's his back door. Other than that, we gotta keep this thing in order. Isn't that right, Catherine?
Yes.
I'm trying.
All right.
And before I read this resolution, I want to share a funny story about Commissioner Lambert, who I started after he was no longer a commissioner, but he was in the Senate at the time and carried a lot of legislation, I know with Foster as well, for the PSC. But he was representing a trucking company in front of the commission to get one of those permits. That, you know, we used to talk about it wasn't the Rolex permit, but there was the fight to get one of those permits. And it was time sensitive, so the commission delegated Tubby the authority to appoint a hearing examiner to handle the case rather than go through the ALJ, and I had the honor of being appointed the hearing examiner. So I put on one of the robes and presided over Commissioner Lambert's hearing. He was the attorney putting on the case. So fast forward to the legislative session, Tubby and Tubby's assistant and I go over to the Capitol to work on a piece of legislation. And as they walk up, he says, "Tubby, Ken, Your Honor." And it drove them nuts. So he called me Your Honor every time. So that's just the kind of guy he was. He had a great sense of humor. And I was thinking about that when I wrote the resolution. So I'll read this out to y'all. And one other thing that was kind of interesting, and it's referenced in here, Commissioner Lambert was actually a commissioner when we had 3 commissioners. And then the Constitution of '74 changed it to expand it to 5, so he was actually part of 3 and part of 5. So really interesting time to serve. So here's a resolution to express the condolences upon the passing of Louis J. Lambert Jr. and to further express gratitude for his services to the Louisiana Public Service Commission and the state of Louisiana. Whereas the members of the Louisiana Public Service Commission were saddened to learn of the passing of Louis J. Lambert Jr. on September 27, 2025. Whereas Louis J. Lambert Jr. was a graduate of Louisiana State University and Loyola University School of Law, and whereas prior to his service with the Louisiana Public Service Commission, he began his public service when he was elected to the Louisiana State Senate in 1971, and whereas Louis J. Lambert Jr. was elected as a member of the Constitutional Convention in 1974, which resulted in the creation of the Louisiana Constitution that we currently act under, and whereas immediately following his service to the Constitutional Convention, he was elected as a member of the Louisiana Public Service Commission, embarking on a career that would culminate with 3 terms and 18 years of service. Whereas Commissioner Lambert had the unique distinction of serving on both the 3-member and 5-member commission as the LPSC transitioned in accordance with the change in the Constitution. And whereas Commissioner Lambert, during his tenure at the Commission, was instrumental in the adoption of a number of rules and regulations involving regulated utilities and common carriers, many of which are still in effect today, including regulations on promotional practices, fuel and power cost adjustments, billing errors and adjustments, and certification of power plants, just to name a few. And whereas Commissioner Lambert, during his tenure, oversaw substantial changes in the regulation of motor carriers, electric cooperatives, and telecommunication industry, transformative changes which still are applicable today. And whereas Commissioner Lambert in 1979 ran for governor, narrowly losing to David Treen, further cementing his status as a statewide acknowledged public servant. And whereas Commissioner Lambert returned to the Louisiana Senate in 1994, serving until 2004. And whereas Commissioner Lambert, during his second tenure in the Senate, continued to champion the cause of the Commission and its constituents. And whereas Commissioner Lambert maintained a legal practice included representing public utilities and common carriers before the commission for a number of years. And whereas Commissioner Lambert was appointed to the Louisiana State University Board of Supervisors, furthering his legacy of public service, and whereas Louis J. Lambert Jr.'s lifelong legacy of public service was formally acknowledged with his induction to the Louisiana Political Hall of Fame in 2024. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Louisiana Public Service Commission does hereby express its deepest sympathies and sincere condolences to the family of Commissioner Lambert, and does hereby offer best wishes, his hopes, and prayers for comfort to those who mourn his passing. Be it further resolved that the Louisiana Public Service Commission does hereby express its deepest gratitude to the family of Commissioner Louis J. Lambert Jr. for the gift and lasting legacy of his service to the Louisiana Public Service Commission and the people of the state of Louisiana. And be it further resolved that a suitable copy of this resolution be transmitted to his family. And we will print it on the nice paper and make sure his family gets a copy of it.
All right, is there any family members here for Louis Lambert?
And I had reached out, I did not hear anything back, but I have a contact and I'll make sure that his daughter gets a copy of it.
Okay, Commissioner Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. President. Louis was a friend of mine when I ran for the Senate in 1976, 77. Louis helped me and I got elected, and we've been friends ever since. He served 2 terms in the Senate, and he was always a nice fellow. The best thing about him, he wasn't real argumentative. He got along with everybody. People liked him. He was a very kind person, I thought. So anyway, I'm sorry to see him pass, but under his conditions, things worked out for the best. So glad to say something about him. He had a nice wife. I knew his wife, and I knew his brother, Billy, and who had passed just a little bit before he did. So Louis helped me get elected to the Public Service Commission, and I'll always be grateful. Thank you.
I met Louis about 1980, 81, long in there. He was a commissioner, and I went before the commission for one of those Rolex trucking permits, and had asked him to. So he was a nice guy. I really enjoyed visiting with him. Mr. Lewis, you have something? Okay. Commissioner Scamata, anything else?
Actually, I only got to meet Commissioner Lambert. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Okay, right. I only got to meet Commissioner Lambert when I first became a member of the Public Service Commission, or actually right before. And, he's, as a practicing attorney, and he's a stand-up guy, and so glad to meet him and glad to have the opportunity to engage with him even on a little bit as he was practicing before the commission in 2009, 2010. So sad to see him go and glad to see him recognized.
Okay, and we have, I think we had the passing of another prominent citizen. Was that you wanted to say something about?
Jim Bernhardt?
Oh,
Did you want to say anything about Jim Bernhardt?
Jim Bernhardt, yeah. Do we have anything written up about Jim Bernhardt?
Nothing yet. I know that happened just recently, so.
Okay.
But obviously, he has a role in regulated utilities, so we will work on that as well.
Okay, all right.
I'd like to say a few words.
All right.
I was sorry to hear about Mr. Bernhardt. He seemed like he was an awful young guy to pass away. He did a lot of good for this community in this state. He was very smart, very industrious. And every time I ran, he always helped me. That didn't make him a good fellow, but he always helped me, and I appreciate it very much. I think he was a very giving guy, as the community would attest to, because there was lots of things in Baton Rouge that he sponsored. And I hope that his family's at peace, and that's a great loss. And he was interested, at one time he was chairman of the Democratic Party for a small period, and I was glad to see him there. But I hope people remember Jim Bernhardt. I knew was a good guy, a caring fellow. I don't know if you knew this or not. He started out as a plumber. His dad was a plumber, and he was always proud of that heritage. I think his brother has a plumbing company in Lafayette, but his dad was a plumber, and he was always proud of that. Thank you.
Okay, I think John Paul Cusson is on his way. Should be here any time. And also, I understand the group coming down from SWEPCO has had
They're
some
delayed as well.
fog issues, and they should be here shortly. And we can move their, what are they, number 2 on?
Number 2,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Y'all
They're
put
exhibit 2.
Move them down to the class if there's no objections with that. Okay, Catherine, have some announcements?
I do, yes, sir. So just 2 quick reminders. One is that the Public Utilities Section CLE will be Thursday, December 4th at the Baton Rouge City Club. And if you have any questions or need to get the information to register, reach out to Jonathan McCartney. The second reminder is that the December B&E will be in Natchitoches at the Natchitoches Event Center, and that will be on Wednesday, December 17th.
Okay, Mr. Lewis, you have anything?
Good, Mr. Chairman.
You're out of form today, you.
Do you have any announcements?
There you are.
Any announcements?
No.
Okay, none from us.
So let's, guess we need to get started. Exhibit.
Exhibit number 3 is docket number U36986. This is the audit of Entergy Louisiana's Quick Start Energy Efficiency Rate Rider pursuant to the Commission's energy efficiency rules for program years 7 and 8 ending December 31st of 2021 and 2022 respectively. It's a discussion and possible vote on a joint report and draft order. Staff initiated this audit on September 27th of 2023 pursuant to the Commission's rules and to determine whether the costs passed through the riders were reasonable and prudent and whether the costs were appropriate and eligible for recovery through the energy efficiency riders. After conducting its review, staff issued its audit report on January 24th of 2025, which was published in the Commission's official bulletin with the Louisiana Energy Users Group timely intervening. Staff's audit report determined that the costs charged for program years 7 and 8 were reasonable and prudent and were appropriate for recovery consistent with the Commission's then energy efficiency rules. And upon review, ELL agreed with staff's audit report, and Luke has indicated it does not oppose the audit report. As there are no unresolved issues, staff and Entergy filed a joint report and draft order into the record on October 20th of 2025, seeking Commission approval and issuance of a draft order, with Luke indicating no opposition. Staff recommends that the Commission accept the joint report and issue the draft order filed into the record on October 20th of 2025.
Move to accept staff recommendation.
Move to accept by Commissioner Scametta, seconded by Commissioner Lewis. Is there any conversation or discussion? I see that SWEPCO's here.
You want to
So,
go back to Exhibit 2?
Let's go back to number 2, and but this number 3 is passed.
Exhibit number 2 is docket number U35989. This is the Commission's audit of fuel cost of SWEPCO associated with the February 2021 winter storm event. It's a discussion and possible vote on a joint report and draft order. This docket was initiated via directive from the Commission at the April 2021 B&E for staff to open dockets to audit and review the actions taken and decisions made by the investor-owned utilities and the natural gas distribution companies during the February 2021 winter storm, as well as review of the temporary modifications to the Fuel Adjustment Clause General Order authorized by Special Order 19/2021. Staff filed its audit report on August 21st of this year, finding that SWEPCO's fuel and purchase power costs during February of 2021 were more than 10 times the average of previous February fuel costs and other winter months during 2021, but that these costs were appropriate and eligible for recovery. Staff found that the costs were appropriate as they were necessary for the provision of service to customers and that SWEPCO's actions leading up to and during the February 2021 winter storm were reasonable. SWEPCO indicated it does not oppose staff's audit report via filing on October 31st of this year, and as there are no unresolved issues, staff and SWEPCO filed a joint report and draft order into the record on November 5th, 2025. Staff recommends that the Commission accept the joint report and issue the draft order filed into the record on November 5th of 2025.
I make a motion that
Second.
we accept staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion to accept staff recommendation by Commissioner Campbell, seconded by Commissioner Scametta. And I think Commissioner Lewis has some questions.
Yes, Bobby, if you could come see really quickly.
Good morning, Commissioner. Bobby
Good morning.
Gillen, representing SWEPCO.
Bobby, use
Click
the
the button.
mic.
There you go.
Good morning. Bobby Gillen, representing SWEPCO. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Just a quick question, kind of perspective here. I know that we're now facing more winter storms, and I have no questions with the audit. I'm just kind of curious on SWEPCO's plans going forward with the potential of winterization and more freezes that we've seen more frequently. I was just curious if there's been discussions about looking at your spot-based procurement or hedging, just what, now that we've gone through Winter Storm Uri, what has been some of the proactive steps that SWEPCO's taken in regards to any potential future winter storms?
Right, Commissioner, yeah, that was a unusual storm. It wasn't like a ice storm, it was the ice storm. I've never seen anything like it in my life. So it was one that we did learn from. And one of the things you look at is units available, and in this storm, we were able to, they were under maintenance, but we were able to pull them back quickly. So you always look a little more closely at that when you put a unit out for maintenance or not. So that's one thing we've learned, and we also are about to file, I'll tell you, everyone, a major resilience plan here. Maybe by the end of this week is our goal, like Friday. So we have a plan to address all kinds of issues, but it's a further complement to our vegetation plan that y'all approved a while back, and we've been implementing that as we speak. So we're going to phase 2. But we've got a lot of emergency plans in place and contingencies that we've developed as a result of this prior storm. And I will say this, I remember it well because I walked out, and at my house, it was literally 4 inches thick of ice on the roadway. It wasn't like there was some ice, it was solid ice. It was amazing circumstance.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And that was just my curiosity as there's been a growing topic among commissioners around winterization. It's a different style of resiliency and reliability concerns. And so I was just kind of curious what proactive steps since Winter Storm Uri that you all have taken, and I look forward to reading your plan and continuing working with you. So thank you.
We definitely are. Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Bobby. All right, anything else? Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, number 2 is approved.
Exhibit number 4 is docket number U37468. This is Entergy's application for recovery and rates of costs related to Hurricane Francine and other related relief. It's a discussion and possible vote on an uncontested stipulated settlement. On September 11th of 2024, Hurricane Francine made landfall, causing damage to Entergy's infrastructure throughout southeast Louisiana. On December 30th of 2024, Entergy filed this application seeking recovery of approximately $183 million in costs related to Hurricane Francine, as well as interim rate relief. Notice of the application was published in the Commission's official bulletin, and timely interventions were received from LUG and the Alliance. At the February 2025 B&E, the Commission voted to approve Entergy's request for interim relief subject to certain conditions. After discovery and the submission of testimony, Entergy and staff entered into an uncontested stipulated settlement, and LUG and the Alliance do not oppose this stipulation. The major terms are as follows. The costs incurred by Entergy in restoring service and repairing its facilities in the wake of Hurricane Francine are reasonable, necessary, and prudently incurred, and therefore eligible for recovery from customers. As to the Francine distribution capital costs, which totaled approximately $142 million, the company is approved to recover the functionalized Francine distribution costs pursuant to its terms of the distribution recovery mechanism and its rider FRP, except for the cap, including the carrying costs at the company's WAC. Of the Francine O&M cost and the carrying cost of approximately $33 million that was withdrawn by the company in February of 2025, approximately $1.8 million of that shall be returned as a refund. Entergy will also make a test year adjustment to the DRM in its test year 2025 annual filing of its rider FRP that is to be made in 2026 to reflect the difference between accrued amounts and amounts actually paid to third parties. Staff recommends that the Commission approve the uncontested stipulated settlement filed into the record on September 29th of 2025.
Move to approve and accept the staff recommendation.
Move to approve by Commissioner Scametta, seconded by the Chair.
I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Campbell seconds. And let's see, I think Commissioner Lewis has some questions for the people, folks here at Entergy.
Mr. Hand, can I see you for a second?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Just a few quick questions, because I know this is a conversation a lot of my constituents ask about hurricane recovery and And can you explain just briefly the different recovery process we're using in this one than what we have done in previous hurricane recovery costs?
Happy to, and good morning, Larry Hand on behalf of Entergy Louisiana. For Hurricane Francine, it's a significant storm in terms of impact. We had a quick recovery, thankfully. The total amount of damages was, as Catherine read, roughly $175, $180 million, which is significant, but not the same catastrophic type of damages we had in 2020 and 2021. And so for that reason, we looked at the recovery differently, and we said we wanted to maintain our storm escrow reserve that had been funded for truly catastrophic events. And so the recovery that we proposed about a year ago, Commission approved was interim recovery, and we would use for the capital portion of the Francine cost recovery. That would be recovered through the distribution recovery mechanism in the FRP, so it's not a separate line item on the bill like our securitization charges. And with regard to the O&M component of that storm cost restoration or restoration cost, we utilized about $30 million or so from the pre-funded hurricane storm escrow account. So the combination of those two we thought it was a good way to not only pay the contractors who worked on the storm, but also to mitigate the bill impact. When we implemented cost recovery through the DRM, it was about, I believe, 80 cents a month for a 1,000 kWh customer. With the recommendations from the LPSC staff and the settlement here, that monthly cost recovery will go from approximately 80 cents a month for a residential customer down to 75 cents a month. And the remainder of staff's recommendations will be implemented through a refund or a credit by Entergy, shareholders. We will put about $1.8 million back into the storm escrow to kind of put that money back because it was one of the recommendations from the staff. So I don't know if that answers the question.
No, that does. Can you tell me where does the storm escrow sit now with this additional 1.9?
Ballpark?
And
I don't have it in front of me, and my phone a friend is not here. I believe it's around 240, 245 million.
Okay. 245 million. And
Commissioner, I will follow up with you because I want to make sure I have the right number, but I'll follow up after the meeting.
no, that's perfect. Because when I was looking, I just wanted to make sure where we were. I know that was some of our previous conversations when we were doing the interim rider was about the storm escrow. So I was just curious where now we stand. We've made it out of hurricane season this year, but I wanted to be cautious for next year. And briefly, or maybe this is a question for Bill Barta, about the carrying cost miscalculation from September to November. That was corrected, but can you explain just what was seen there?
I will do my best, and Bill can certainly get into the details because he's the one who discovered our error. But, when we, when we close capital to, when we're constructing work in progress, we accumulate what's called an allowance for funds used during construction. And so we had done that because of the capital components of the Francine restoration, putting up a new pole, for example, to the extent that was capital. We accrued AFUDC on that pursuant to our normal practices. In preparing the cost recovery application, we also calculated a carrying cost on storm costs like we typically do, and we inadvertently overlapped and overestimated the amount of carrying costs. So that is the reduction that Mr. Bard identified, and we agreed to readily because it was an error on our part.
Got you. Thank you. And lastly, the incentive compensation has been excluded from the recovery consistent with staff's recommendations, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
The incentive compensation, that is being excluded from the recovery.
So the incentive compensation, the staff's recommendation, Mr. Bard identified in his testimony that about $350,000 of incentive compensation was captured in our storm cost accounting. And that's thinking about a line superintendent who is out responding to the storm. That line superintendent gets part of his or her compensation is incentive comp. And so it's a loader that attaches to an hour that they bill, and if they bill an hour. So it was about $350,000. Mr. Bard identified it as an issue for consideration The company, the way we scrubbed out the storm cost on incentive comp, we made sure we complied with the commission's most recent enunciation of that policy. In our most recent FRP settlement that was approved by the commission, we followed the exact methodology on incentive comp that the commission approved. So the cost recovery does, and the stipulation does not adjust the incentive comp. In this case, I think Mr. Barta was identifying that for an issue that may be addressed in the future if there is another storm.
Got you. So in this agreement, we don't exclude it, but it's identified as something for the commission to consider.
I can't speak for Mr. Barta. I thought he identified it in case it wanted to be addressed in future storms, but it is not,
Yeah.
it is not excluded from the cost here.
Okay, Bill, can you,
And while he comes up, Commissioner, the reason why I believe that's the right outcome, when we use a mutual aid contractor from Georgia Power, Florida Power and Light, whoever, those folks are kind enough to loan us their people, and they loan us to them at cost. And I pay a Florida Power and Light or a Georgia Power line superintendent the same job my person performs. I'm paying their actual cost, which includes this incentive comp.
gotcha, okay.
So we're just trying to make sure we treat our workers
The same that you
way
would do
we
the
treat
contractor
Georgia
that you're.
Power. Yes.
Bill, anything you want to add on what you described? I was under the impression that it was excluded, so I'm just trying to make sure I have no issues right now with what Mr. Hand said. I just want to make sure I'm understanding what was your recommendation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Barta on behalf of the staff. My recommendation in the direct testimony was to exclude the incentive compensation, and I think there was some valid positions that staff had for that exclusion. On the other hand, the company raised some good points as well, that it's been approved by the commission on how to treat incentive compensation in other dockets. I thought from the staff perspective that maybe that would go out the window, considering this is an extraordinary event and wouldn't be under the realm of those like an FRP docket for that treatment. At the end of the day, it was $350,000, and I thought it was immaterial to the overall $180 million request for recovery. So let's live to fight another day. I did preserve the commission's right to investigate incentive compensation in future applications, storm applications, in case it does become material. But right now, they're consistent with the commission's rate-making treatment for incentive compensation.
Okay, great. No, yeah, and Mr. And I have no issues. I think my reading between your testimony and kind of getting the record, I kind of got a little lost there, but.
Yeah, I understand that.
But thank you, Mr. And thank you, Mr. Barker, Mr. Chairman. I'm done.
Okay, thank y'all. Thank you,
Commissioner.
All righty, hearing no other opposition to that, this passed. Okay, number 5?
So exhibit number 5, thank you, is docket number U37479. This is Clico Power's application for authorization of a Phase 1 comprehensive hardening plan, related rate recovery, and expedited treatment. It's a discussion and possible vote on uncontested stipulated settlement. Clico filed this application on December 30th of 2024, requesting authorization of the Phase 1 of its hardening plan. The plan as proposed was compromised of the projects intended
Yes, sir.
to commence in the first 5 years of the plan and represented approximately $257 million in capital investment. The application was noticed in the Commission's official bulletin, and timely interventions were filed by PCA and the Alliance. SREA later intervened pursuant to a petition to intervene at a time, which was granted. Subsequent to the filing of Clico's application, staff and interveners conducted discovery and all filed testimony. The parties further conducted extensive discussions and negotiations regarding the company's application. The parties have achieved consensus regarding the issues presented by the application, and accordingly, subject to the terms and conditions specified in the settlement and to the reservation of rights by staff, interveners, and Clico Power as described in the settlement, resolve all issues in this proceeding. The interveners indicated they do not have opposition to the settlement. The settlement was filed into the record on November 3rd of 2025. The major terms of the settlement are as follows. Clico Power is authorized to construct the resilience plan projects, which will be constructed during a 5-year period expected to commence in 2026 and last through 2030 at an approximate cost of $200 million. Notwithstanding the Commission's approval of the plan today, the Commission shall retain the authority to suspend or cancel any non-committed projects if it determines completion of those projects is no longer in the public interest. Clico Power is authorized to implement the Grid Resilience Rider. The resilience plan projects are subject to a pole performance metric and fee, which is triggered under specific conditions laid out in the settlement. The commission shall monitor the implementation of the project plans within. CLECO Power is authorized to create a regulatory asset for addressing recovery of and on, if applicable, the remaining net book value of assets that are replaced through this resilience plan projects. And staff recommends that the commission accept the uncontested stipulated settlement filed into the record on November 3rd of 2025.
Move to accept staff recommendation.
Moved by Commissioner Scametta, seconded by Commissioner Cruton. Is there any discussion or questions about it? Anybody? Okay, Commissioner Lewis? Somebody, you want to talk to CLECO?
Yeah, Mark, just really quickly, just clarifying some things once again. Thank you, and thank you for also meeting with me and kind of answering the majority of my questions. I just wanted to reiterate some points on the record. So can you define, as we talked about, how you classified critical customers and how you came up with the 1.5 BCR?
Certainly. Mark Kleehammer on behalf of CLECO Power, and with me I have Austin Finn. So what I'll just start back a little bit. We've been doing an awful lot over the years to maintain reliability. CLECO has met or exceeded all of your metrics ever since inception. We strive to exceed the safety and safety goals by at least 20% annually. In addition to that, in the last 2 years, we've initiated an enhanced vegetation management program, which is really allowed us to shore up the backbone of our system, and we think that's going to be very important. In addition to that, as we know, we have hurricanes in the state and extreme weather events. So we've looked at the overall resilience of our system. We looked with consultants, 1898 consultants, who actually performed the analysis for Entergy. Same study, very similar type request. And we looked at over a horizon, how many storms would come in, Monte Carlo simulation, thousands of different opportunities, what assets would be destroyed or damaged, what the cost would be to restore that, and how many customer minutes would be out. So when we looked at it, we took all of that information to come up with a benefit to cost ratio. When we filed our application, we said anything that has a positive benefit to cost is worth doing. There's a value there for our customers. During the pendency of the case, we had anything with a 1.0 would be something that we thought was in the public interest. The staff, their testimony said we should probably look at something that's a little bit more robust, maybe looking at the more cost beneficial projects, which would be anything over a 1.5. We went back and forth, and then we said, okay, let's not necessarily only hone in on projects. Let's look at circuits, because you don't want the weakest link to fail. And so ultimately we landed on what is essentially circuits that have a 1.5 or greater BCR. I will say the whole program has greater than a 2. It's about a 2.3, 2.4%, 2.4 times BCR benefit to cost ratio. So we anticipate avoided costs in excess of $400 million during this project. So that was the first component that we looked at. Then we looked at our transmission projects that we had in the application, and the staff concurred and agreed that we should go forward with all those transmission projects because they benefit various communities. And then we looked at the circuits that serve critical infrastructure, those that serve hospitals, police stations, fire stations, sewer lift stations, things that you really don't want to lose power to in any form. And we agreed and came to the conclusion that those should all be included as well. And so that ended up getting us to the set of about 565 projects, which is just shy of $200 million.
Thank you. And as you know, I've been a big supporter of resiliency and hardening and the grid. I think one of the questions I always have about as we move in this direction is safeguarding what would be routine maintenance from now being reclassified as capital work. So can you just explain how internally you were looking at traditional O&M versus some of the reliability, grid hardening investments, and how you are differentiating between what should be just classic maintenance versus then what will be capital recovery in the terms of resiliency?
Yes, I anticipate that our traditional O&M will stay pretty much where it is. The types of projects, the number of projects. This really is layered on completely different and apart from that. And in our reporting, we will break this out completely different and apart from that. And the reporting that we're going to do with the commission and the commission staff will have quarterly reports on what we've done, both the costs and the projects that have been completed. We will do a every 6-month update on the rider recovery of that, and an every 6-month face-to-face with staff to go through all of those projects and cover exactly what you're asking for.
Perfect, great. And lastly, can you just confirm what's the bill impact, the residential bill impact for an average customer of CLECO?
Sure. So from this is a 5-year project. So in 2026, we anticipate about a 37-cent bill effect for a 1,000 kilowatt hour customer. Our average customer is probably more like $12.50 in that range, and so that would be a 47-cent bill effect. In year 2, because each year you're compounding and you're adding slightly less than $1 to the customer bill. In year 2, for a 1,000 kilowatt hour customer, it'd be $1.13, $1.94, $2.55, and $3.25. That's in 2027, 28, 29, and 30. To your question, for the average customer that's a little bit north of $12.50, it goes from first year 47 cents to $1.43, $2.45, $3.23, and we're estimating $4.11 bill effect on a monthly basis in 2030.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mark, with this hardening, that should give a little relief to the O&M. If you have a stronger system, you should have less maintenance on it, shouldn't it? Okay.
Potentially, yes.
Oh,
And I think it could give a little relief there. We'll make sure that we're putting everything in the right buckets. But I think that the broader thing is we're hardening for storms, but you're going to see reliability benefits. And as I said, we've already exceeded your targets for every year that you've had these metrics in place. It's our objective to exceed those targets by 20%. And we are really pleased that by collaborating with the commission here, I think we can bring a lot more value to customers because, there are costs incurred when you are restoring in the heat of a storm. We know that. We got to bring in crews from all over the country. That's a big deal. But the biggest issue is when our customers are inconvenienced, and much more than inconvenienced when the power's out. And there will be a lot of benefits to them on a normal course and on extreme weather events.
Well, I think you deserve an attaboy from the commission for the good SAIDI numbers. So keep them going and challenge your other cohorts in Louisiana, the other leaders to do the same thing. So thank you. Any other questions, anybody? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we up to, this is in the
Well,
books.
so-
Number 6?
Well, we had a motion on the floor in a second, just make sure there was no opposition.
Oh, okay. Is there any opposition? That's all
Okay,
about
perfect.
that.
So
Hearing none.
exhibit number 6 is a to-be-determined docket. It's Jefferson Davis Electric Cooperative's request for a transmission determination, approval of transfer or operational control of transmission assets to MISO. It's a discussion and possible vote to retain United Professionals Company for an under $50,000 solicitation. At the December 2014 B&E and then renewed at the February 21 B&E and October 24 B&Es, UPC was retained by the Commission to actively participate and provide oversight to the markets planning and other activities within MISO, OMS, and ERSC. Based on the specific facts and circumstances provided by JDEC, Commission Order Number U36661 exempted JDEC from the Commission's transmission siting order for good cause shown related to the construction of a 230 kV transmission line to rebuild transmission facilities lost and damaged as a result of Hurricane Laura. Order number U36661 also included a condition that should JDEC desire to sell or change control of these lines, JDEC must seek Commission approval prior to. JDEC recently submitted a pre-filing notice letter indicating plans to file a request with the Commission to transfer operational control of those assets to MISO and confirm that the assets meet the requirements to be considered a transmission facility under the standards set forth by FERC, including the 7-factor test contained in FERC Order Number 8888. Based on the preliminary review of JDEC's request and prior similar requests from electric cooperatives, staff is of the opinion that a review and initial recommendation based on JDEC's filing can be completed for less than $50,000. This assumption does not include a contested hearing. Based upon staff's opinion and that the scope of services can be completed for less than $50,000 and UPC's assistance on FERC and MISO proceedings, staff solicited UPC for an under $50,000 solicitation. UPC provided a proposal of $49,000 in fees and $1,000 in expenses. Staff recommends that the Commission retain United Professionals Company for a $49,000 in fees and $1,000 in expenses for a total budget not to exceed of $50,000.
Move to accept staff recommendation.
Second.
Commissioner Scamata moves to accept staff recommendation, seconded by Commissioner Lewis. Any comments or questions? And, I think this Jefferson Davis Electric Co-op is in my district, and this line is really special to me in Cameron. Looks like we should have everything running at by our next meeting, and I'd like to ask Jeff Davis to give us a report and come boast a little bit about how well it's being done in Cameron. So at the next meeting in Natchitoches, give us a good report on that. Thank you. Okay, so it's no objection, it's passed. Number 7.
Exhibit number 7 is for the same docket, but it's a discussion and possible vote to retain Stone Pigman. Stone Pigman was retained by the Commission at multiple B&Es and renewed at the October 2024 B&E to assist the Commission with marketing, planning, and other activities related to MISO, OMS, and ERSC. Based on staff's opinion that this docket could be completed for less than $50,000 and Stone Pigman's assistance on FERC and MISO proceedings, staff solicited Stone Pigman for an under 50 solicitation. Based on staff's solicitation, Stone Pigman provided a proposal of $48,000 in fees and $1,200 in expenses. Staff recommends that the Commission retain Stone Pigman for $48,000 in fees and $1,000 in expenses for a total not to exceed budget of $49,200.
Move to accept staff recommendation.
Second.
Staff's recommendation moved by Commissioner Lewis, seconded by Commissioner Scamata. Is there any discussion or objection? Hearing none, it passed.
Exhibit number 8 is our reports, resolutions, discussions. We've already handled the resolution honoring late former Commissioner Louis Lambert. We do have 2 ratifications this month. The first is discussion and possible vote to ratify votes cast by Chairman Francis, acting as the Commission's representative on the Regional State Committee of the Southwest Power Pool. This is on the agenda for ratification of votes cast on November 3rd of this year by Chairman Francis. Staff followed the protocol set forth in Special Order 17/2019 to consult the Vice Chairman and the Secretary prior to the vote. The protocols also require that the votes cast be ratified at a future B&E. There were several voted items. Chairman Francis voted in favor of RR 697, which is a long-term transmission congestion rights netting of flows. He also voted in favor of RR 719, which is a network resource interconnection service base plan funding opportunities. He voted in favor of 655, which was an outage criteria, which was governing documents that once SP authorized an outage, it remains authorized as long as no changes were made. RR 707 was conventional resource performance-based accreditation revisions. And Chairman Francis voted in favor of that item. And the last one that Chairman Francis voted in favor of was FERC Order 1920 recommendation. The staff recommends that the Commission ratify those votes cast by Chairman Francis on November 3rd, 2025 as the Commission's representative to the SPPRSC.
Move to ratify the vote of Chairman Francis.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Scamata, seconded by Commissioner Lewis, and what's that?
You abstain.
And I abstain, of course, yes. Is there any other additions? I want to make one comment. These bills are very complicated. It's not a one-man show, I'll assure you. I don't think God's created anybody to understand every moving part here. And Dana Shelton and Lane Sisson assist me in all these votes, and I really appreciate their help. So, they're still training, I'm still learning, but we're moving ahead. So, give thanks. And so Hearing that there's no other objection, it's, y'all agree with the vote, okay?
There's also some FERC ratifications this month. It's a discussion and possible vote to ratify interventions of the commission in RTO-related or other FERC proceedings. This matter is on the agenda for ratification pursuant to the scope of work approved in connection with the retention of stone pigment in UPC at the February 2021 B&E. Due to the short deadlines allowed for these interventions, if advanced commission approval is not possible, the executive secretary, on the recommendation of stone pigment or UPC or on his own determination, may authorize the initial interventions, comments, or protests subject to ratification at a following B&E. Staff recommends that the commission ratify the interventions taken on the commission's behalf in FERC docket numbers ER 25-3515, ER 25-3516, ER 25-3543, ER 25-3560, ER 23570, and ER 26-139.
Move to ratify.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lewis and seconded by Commissioner Scamata. Any discussion? Objection? Hearing none, it's passed.
We have two directives this month. The first is a directive to Louisiana jurisdictional investor-owned electric utilities regarding nuclear power. This was at the request of Vice Chairman Scamata. Pursuant to the Commission's constitutional authority to ensure reliable long-term energy resources and in support of state and federal energy policy, all investor-owned electric utilities subject to this Commission's jurisdiction are hereby directed to evaluate prudent locations within the state for future nuclear power plants. The IOUs are to report back to the Commission within 90 days with a preliminary plan to either initiate an early site permit or combined construction and operating license application with the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission under 10 CFR Part 52 for potential new nuclear generation sites. This directive is not intended to trigger Commission General Order dated May 18th of 2007 regarding rate making and generation planning for nuclear power plants. Actual applications for site approval will be determined after presentations by the IOUs regarding suggested future sites.
This is a step before a step. We have opportunities, look like they could come to the state for the benefit of our state and also for our IRP and for our public with new investment by folks. And so it's just a step towards understanding where we would put new power plants that are nuclear in nature in the future. So it's a step forward, so.
A motion?
We don't need
It's a,
to,
no, it's a
Oh, no.
directive.
Just as
Oh,
long as
I'm
it's not-
sorry.
As long as no opposition.
Okay. Is there any objection to this directive? Hearing none, it's so ordered.
Wait, hold on. Talk to me about the nuclear power situation.
Okay,
Yeah, it's, this is just telling the folks to go and begin the process of coming forward and telling us what they would have to do about looking for site approval for the future, just about where sites could go.
Not where they're going.
Not where they're going, about where they could go. Because we know that there's some potential where they could put them on the site where they are now, like at Riverbend. There's room for another one. But there are opportunities that might require other ones. So they're going to take the step towards the next step, which would be to actually go out and look for where the sites could go. It's a stage step that they have to do.
I don't mind if they put them where they are. I don't know about new sites.
Right, well, we're not going to know, we're going to know that, but we're going to also know if they have suggestions for other stuff, because they're also, the military's looking at putting one at Barksdale, one at Polk, and one at Joint Reserve Base Belle Chase on smaller ones. And the military wants them, but they have to go through several stages of process to even look and see if that can work through site. So this is just one step forward.
I'm going to object.
Okay, roll call vote requested. And do we have to do a motion on this?
You're objecting?
Yes, he's
Oh, I'm
objecting.
sorry, okay.
I'll have to do a motion or second, just a roll call.
Roll
since
call
it's a
vote.
directive.
okay, Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
Commissioner Cusson,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
No.
okay, Commissioner Scamata
Yes.
votes yes, and Chair votes yes, so it's 4-1, it passed. Okay. Moving on to the next item.
The second directive is a directive to Louisiana jurisdictional water systems on water balance and unaccounted for water, and this is at the request of Vice Chairman Scamata. To enhance system efficiency, reduce non-revenue water loss, and inform future infrastructure planning, the Commission hereby establishes a standardized quarterly reporting requirement for all regulated drinking water systems under its jurisdiction. This directive enables the identification and quantification of water leakage, operational losses, and unaccounted for water, supporting data-driven decisions on pipeline rehabilitation, replacement, and resource conservation. Effective January 1, 2026, and continuing each quarter thereafter, every jurisdictional public drinking water system shall submit a quarterly water balance report containing the following data for the preceding calendar quarter: total volume of fresh water introduced into the system, source water intake in gallons, total volume of fresh water delivered to customers, billed metered consumption in gallons, and the differential volume of unaccounted for water calculated as intake minus delivered volume, expressed in gallons as a percentage of total intake. Reports shall be filed electronically in the form prescribed by the Commission's Utility Division no later than 30 days after the end of each calendar quarter, i.e. April 30th, July 30th, October 30th, and January 30th. The Utilities Division shall develop and distribute standardized reporting templates, instructions, and submission protocols by January 15th of 2026. In addition, the Utilities Division shall conduct reviews and provide technical assistance to utilities as needed to ensure accurate and consistent reporting. Jurisdictional water systems shall maintain supporting records such as the production logs, meter readings, leak detection reports for a minimum of 3 years and make them available to the Commission upon request. No additional contracts for hire are anticipated to implement this directive. However, if operational demands exceed current staffing capacity, the Executive Secretary is authorized to prepare and present to the Commission a formal request for supplemental personnel or resources accompanied by a detailed justification and cost analysis.
Now, the purpose of this is information that's already provided to LDH, the Louisiana Department of Health, on water information. I'd like to have it also provided to the Public Service Commission. You know, one of the things we need to look at, because we know we have problems with water systems, is to make determination if we're seeing that there are increased leakages, that we can at least know ahead of time, that we can make planning for pipeline replacement, and it'll give us a heads up on looking at the various water companies to see if we're gonna have to do plans for infrastructure replacement. It'll give us, I think, a good advance notice of this. So it's information that's already collected for the state through LDH, and it's just a mechanism for them to deliver it to the Public Service Commission. So no big difference. That's it.
Any objections?
Any other discussion about this? Okay.
Just, well, real quick question for staff. So would, or maybe this is for Utilities Division, would this just be a kind of standard with the reports we get from LDH on their grading system and we just attach it to there? Or I'm just curious on
I think it
how we
would,
think we're gonna.
I mean, I'll get with Donnie and his staff on that, but I think probably the first step will be coordinating with LDH, see the form they have it, and if it's as simple as you're saying, I mean, obviously the grading system is going to, that they send us encompasses every utility, so what we'll probably do is take that list, sift out the ones we regulate, because it's only about 10% of the total systems. Obviously, we're not gonna want the ones we don't regulate, because that would be a ridiculous amount of information, but yeah, I think we'll use that as a template, the starting point, and come up with rules that, and this is at least the way I would suggest we handle it, rules that just allow us to take whatever method they have it currently, whether it's electronic, whatever form it is, and just have copies of those. So yeah, I think to your point, how they share, and also how, you know, we get notices of violations from LDH or DEQ, they just forward those to us, so maybe we'll come up with a standard way of just aggregating that information.
No, that sounds great. And the only other request I would make is, if possible, when we have a water document in front of us, if that could be.
I think that makes perfect sense.
Attached with it, so we can see it as we.
They're shaking their head.
Okay,
Got it.
great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So I would assume by the next meeting, maybe you'd have us a report on, follow up on this.
We'll try. I think we have until January,
Yeah,
so.
they-
Oh,
they-
all right, okay, all right.
They got all the time.
Maybe January be
Sorry
it.
about it, I missed that. I'm from the real business world, okay.
I understand.
But we'll see if we can do it for December, but.
Okay,
Uh,
no opposition.
No opposition, hearing no opposition, it's done.
And Catherine, I'm going to postpone the Exhibit 9, other one that I put on here about the infrastructure thing until December.
Okay, so
Okay.
Exhibit 9 is deferred.
And move to adjourn.
Let me say,
Oh, wait, Foster has something he wants to say.
Okay. Go, Mr. Paul.
next month, we're gonna be meeting in Natchitoches. It's a nice town, oldest town in Louisiana, older than New Orleans by 2 years. And, a lot of good food, a lot of nice people. Look forward to seeing you up there. It's always a nice time. Christmas, all the lights are on, and if you bring anybody, let me know. If you need any place to stay, I'll try to help you arrange all that.
Stay at Foster's house.
Okay, stay at Foster's house, so,
And
yeah,
it,
we're all looking forward to
I
going
got plenty
to,
of room at my house.
we're all going,
Sleepover.
so I've got a motion by Commissioner Scametta to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
It's done. All right.